You know, Squid Game Session 3 was honestly the best third session I've ever watched. Even better than the Session 3 of the 100, which is actually pretty good. Today, we're gonna take a biological look at this surprising, amazing, and dark session. Quick hands up. Before we start, spoiler alert. Hi everyone, I'm Daniel, and this is Daniel Explains Science, where we enthusiastically talk about biology and physics in a fun, talkative, but sensible way. Let's chat a bit about Squid Game. Session 1, everyone was forced to play. The rules were brutal, raw power dominated. Fairness, huh? Yeah? Where was humanity? Session 2, survival means you couldn't trust anyone. Close friends turned on each other. Corruption, constant violence. But Session 3 went even further. They literally played deadly hide and seek with knives. Imagine playing hide and seek knowing you might actually get stabbed. People had to limit to their greed. Injured and weaker players were easily eliminated. Even the strongest, smartest, or most ethical don't necessarily win. The winners were the ones who could adapt, even if it means acting in a selfish way and throwing all their morals in the trash. The message is the more ethical and consequences you are, the harder your life becomes. You're stuck with guilt and a heavy sense of responsibility. This session really hit me. It's not just a violence show, it's deep. It made me want to analyze it biologically. So, what are you waiting for? Let's dive in. Natural selection. Well, alright, let's talk about natural selection. Charles Darwin had this simple but impactful idea. In nature, two things truly matter: survival and reproduction. Nature's harsh rule is survival of the fittest. Not necessarily the strongest or smartest, but the most adaptable. Squid Game is basically a simulation of this rule. In biology, we talk about survival at three levels: gen, individual, and group. In this show, players had that deep instinct to survive as individuals, but also try to form groups and teams to score points or even kill together. They had to adapt to this situation, something sacrificing their morals. But let's not forget this idea has been horribly misused. Hitler and the Nazis twisted Darwin's theory to justify horrific crimes of their ideology of a superior race. A terrific impact. So while Squid Game shows the raw competition, it's also a warning about how those ideas can be enforced in twisted wars. Let's talk about sacrifice, something weird in biology. On the cellular level, sacrifice may be normal. Cells are the smallest unit of life. We have billions in our body. Apoptosis is programmed cell death. Cells literally kill themselves for the greater good of the whole organism. This old code we should learn from cells how to sacrifice for the whole. Funny, right? Cells even share resources like nutrients. They're more ethical than us. But zoom out from the microscope in the jungle. It's eat or be eaten. Squid Game showed this law of the jungle perfectly. Players consistently battery and fight to survive. Cancer is perfect metaphor here. A cell that stops sacrificing, becoming a selfish killer, consuming all resources for itself. Just like the father in the show who might have been ready to sacrifice his own baby to win. And don't even get me started on the VIPs. They were honestly a weak point of the show. sorry, boring and cartoonist. Yeah, they're also like cancer in society, feeding on pain and suffering for their own amusement. Big question here. Why can biology be so altruistic in cellular level, but so selfish at the higher level? It's tough, but apparently complexity creates competition. Animals and plants fight for resources, survival, and reproduction. This is natural selection. But there are exceptions. Remember player 222? She sacrificed herself to give her baby a chance. Or player 456 at the end. He gave himself up too. And molecular biology and system. Well, the body is an incredibly complex system. Everything is coordinated. If one part loses control, gene fail, the individual and the group die, the whole system collapse. Even big dominant species like dinosaurs eventually went extinct. Just like in the serious, strong and smart players you thought were unbeatable got eliminated easily. Human societies work the same way. When selfish becomes normal and coordination breaks down, you get collapse. And biotechnology. What is biotech? Using biology to solve problems. Sounds easy peasy, yeah? Cure diseases, create better crops, fix genetic disorders, but there's a dark side. What if rich people buy superior genes for their kids? What if there's a genetic class divide? Imagine a Squid Game on the genetic level. The wealthy design is perfect children. The poor can't compare, society fractures even more. An enforced system that deprives people of fair chances. Future science could facilitate it and implement that, unless we act in a sensible, ethical way with a real sense of responsibility. Otherwise, we're basically asking for our own real-life Squid Game. Squid Game isn't just a violent, entertaining drama. It's a mirror. It shows us our system, our grade, our competition. It's nature twisted by money and power. Where are we heading? That's up to us. What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. I'm Daniel, and this is Daniel Explains Science. If you enjoyed this darkly scientific dive into Squid Game, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. But stay curious, stay kind,